Good Saturday morning. I'm KHU11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez. We are starting off mostly quiet here across southeast Texas, and it's going to be warm and humid for today. However, we do have a rain chance in store for us as we head into the afternoon hours. I know we saw storms yesterday and the day before that and the day before that, but we are expecting more scattered downpours today as we go into around just after the noon hour. So current temps, if you are heading out the door, we're seeing those temps in the lower 80s. 81 in Pearland, 82 in Hobby, Galveston at 86 degrees. It's also very muggy out there, so dew points are in the upper 70s, so that atmospheric moisture just causing the feels like temps to be just a few degrees hotter than what the actual temp is. So as we look at the next 12 hours, we're going to see those temps might end up remaining in the 80s. It's because we do have that rain chance for today, and we are going to see those clouds start building in later on this afternoon. So expect a high of around 92 degrees. Afternoon storms definitely possible. If you have any outdoor plans, you might want to just have a plan B, or maybe, just do those plans indoors as we head into the afternoon, because we could see some ponding on roadways as well as some dangerous lightning and some heavy rain. I don't think we're going to see much of a flood concern, but of course, in Houston, we could see those ponding on roadways that could start expanding as we head into the next several hours. So looking at radar right now, we are expecting those conditions to be mostly quiet. We're seeing some isolated showers just off the coast of Galveston, and as we look at our future track, we are expecting that rain coverage to become a bit more widespread and scattered as soon as we approach the 12 p.m. hour. And then once we get closer towards 1 to 2 o'clock, we very well could see those downpours moving northward, affecting along I-45, maybe just along 290 towards Cypress. And so we could start seeing those storms moving in more of a northerly direction as we progress through the afternoon, as they become more widespread. And then of course, as soon as we get closer towards the 6 o'clock hour, that's when we start losing the daytime heating, and that is going to wrap those storms up, and we're going to see those rain chances diminish into the overnight hours, as well as tonight remaining mostly quiet. And so as we focus on a broader aspect of what's happening around the state, they are unfortunately dealing with more flooding threats for areas out in central Texas. So there is flash flood warnings, or actually flash flood watches, in place for portions of west central Texas for today, as we could see some disturbances that could bring more rain towards the region out in the Texas Hill Country. So as we look at that flood risk for today, we are under a marginal risk for flooding, that we could see some isolated spots for us here in Houston that could see some ponding on roadways and some possible flooding later on today. But areas out from Austin to San Antonio, even including Kerrville, and along the Guadalupe River, they're under a slight risk. That is a 2 out of 4 on the flood index scale. And so a large portion of the state is stretching as far into West Texas, looking at a elevated flood risk for any storms that do flare up for this afternoon. So as we look at future track for a statewide view, we could see these little impulses that could start moving in from the west. That could bring more of these downpours and strong storms later on today into Sunday. But as we go into the start of our work week, we are expecting this weather pattern to start quieting down as we go into the start of the week before Monday and into Tuesday. So as looking at the expected rain totals through Sunday, I think that it's possible that somewhere along in west central Texas, or even in central Texas, they could get up to maybe 3 to 4 inches of rainfall through Sunday evening. So this is not really good news for folks that are trying to recover from the disaster that happened on July 4th out along the Guadalupe River and in the Texas Hill Country. So this is definitely expecting more rain chances for most of central Texas, and for us here across southeast Texas, I wouldn't be surprised if we get 1 to 2 inches of rain through Sunday, as well as those conditions remaining just mostly unsettled through today and into tomorrow as well. So as we look at the travel forecast for the next 2 to 3 days, we are expecting conditions to remain mostly quiet as we head into the start of our week, but we are definitely still situated in between these two high pressure systems, and of course it just opens up the door for our atmosphere to be unstable. But as we go into next week, we will see this high building in from the east that is going to be moving in across southeast Texas, and that's going to clear our rain chances up for much of next week. And unfortunately, we're going to see the return of those very hot temperatures, highs in the 90s. And we're definitely going to see the feels like temps surpassing 100, as now weather models are indicating that we're going to once again see the true Houston summer, even though we've been mostly wet and rainy and our temps have been cooler for the past few weeks. So expecting those conditions to remain mostly just stormy for today. We're also still tracking some Saharan dust moving in over the Atlantic, and that is keeping the tropics at bay, which is the good news for us, especially when it comes to hurricane season. The good news is that we're not expecting any development in the Atlantic Ocean for the next 7 days. So it's going to be remaining quiet. We've already had 3 named storms. We've had Andrea, Barry, Chantel. The next one on the list is Dexter. We still have Aaron, Fernand, and Gabrielle going into the next month or two. So as far as your 7-day forecast, highs in the 90s, lows in the 70s. We have unsettled weather for this weekend, especially during the afternoon hours. And then once we head into next week, we will see the return of those very hot temperatures. Highs in the upper 90s. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see some triple-digit temperatures into next week, as well as just the humidity and the sweltering heat that is going to be returning for us here across southeast Texas. So as we look at the situation, we are expecting those conditions to remain mostly just on the quiet side for the first half of our day, and then we're going to once again start seeing the return of those scattered showers and storms later on this afternoon. And so if you're heading out the door, temps are in the 80s. We are seeing quite a bit of sunshine today, but going into those afternoon hours, we're once again going to see the return of those storms at least by the 12 o'clock hour. So anything that you have planned after 12 p.m., expect to see those storms to start moving in and becoming a little bit messy as we go into the afternoon hours. High of 92 for today, rain chance at 70%, but going into radar, starting off quiet, but then once we head closer towards 12 o'clock, that's when we're going to start seeing once again, like we've been seeing for the past several weeks, those afternoon downpours that are going to be possible from 12 to 1, lasting at least through 3, 4 o'clock. And that does include all of Houston. And we've seen these in the past 2 to 3 days where we'll have quiet conditions and those storms just sort of pop up out of nowhere. They're more isolated, but I believe that this today is going to become more scattered as we warm up through this afternoon. That was, we warm up, that usually fuels thunderstorm activity, and we're also still dealing with this unstable atmosphere as we go into the next 2 to 3 days for the rest of this weekend. And so tonight, if you have any plans tonight, I think we're going to be mostly quiet. We're going to see mostly just clear skies and maybe partly cloudy skies. However, if you're traveling out west, just keep in mind, maybe if you're heading out to the hill country to maybe volunteer to help, I believe that there's a process for that, but just keep in mind that there is a flood watch in effect for west central Texas, and that does include portions of the Texas Hill Country as we head into this afternoon. And of course, I will be tracking the latest happening not only here in Houston, but across Texas for the first half of our day and into the early afternoon hours. And you can get the latest weather updates on KHOU.com and on the KHOU 11 app. Make sure to join us at KHOU 11 News at 9 o'clock this morning. I, myself, along with anchor Trace and Brad, will be giving you the latest news and weather updates. Have a good rest of your day.